Welcome to Under Heaven, the podcast where we glorify God and celebrate the beautiful stories of women whose lives have been transformed by His goodness and grace. I'm your host, Trish, and each week we share real conversations about faith, hope, and purpose. This is a place for encouragement and truth, where every story matters and every listener is welcome. No matter where you are in your journey, let's grow together under heaven. Welcome to Under Heaven podcast. I'm your host, Trish, and today's guest is someone who knows how to take the stories of your life and fill them with fuel for bold, God-aligned action. Lee Smith is a mindset coach, founder of Upcycle Coaching. She has created the C.A.N.D.Y, C.A.N.D.Y method, and much more. Today we're going to be talking about God's timing, His interruptions in our life, and His holy humor, because He loves to redirect our plans into something better. So if you've ever had your life flipped upside down and then you realize that God is flipping it right side up, this episode is for you. So get ready to be filled with hope, inspiration, and the reminder that sometimes the best thing you could do is laugh at yourself. She's going to teach us that that is good for us all. Welcome, Lee. I'm so glad to have you here today.
Thank you, Trish. I'm so happy to be here with you and with the audience.
I talked with you briefly the other day. It is 8 o'clock in the morning your time.
Yes.
And I love that no matter what time of the day I speak with you, you've got that gorgeous smile. And
Thank
we know
you.
where that comes from, don't we? Comes from that.
Absolutely.
Yes. Would you like to tell us a little bit about mindset, self-talk, and how you got into this?
Yes, yes. I love all things. I could totally geek out about it. All things that mindset and self-talk and mindset is it can be boiled down to attitude, right? That 90% 10% of life is what happens to us, and then 90% is what do we do with that? What is our attitude with it? And so we can laugh, we can cry, we can paralyze ourselves, or we can see the good, see opportunity and adversity, and make the best of it, right? And funny enough, I've probably gained that attitude from my favorite uncle. And he's younger than my dad, and the younger brother to my dad. And when I was a teenager, I overheard him having a conversation with my dad, and it was all about because I was a goody two shoes. I was so obedient. I didn't fray the line in any way. And my dad was sharing with my uncle of how he's like, I can't believe I'm so blessed. I have an amazing daughter because I'm the oldest of three kids. And he said, I have such an amazing daughter. She's so good. And my dad would go on, and my uncle said, well, if she stays on that path, she's going to be the most boring person on the planet.
Oh my.
But when I, but when I had conversations with my uncle, he always focused in, it's all about attitude. He's like, life is too short to get angry because angry does not solve problems. And so I took all of those little tidbits to heart. And in my personal relationship with God, I thought, yeah, that's so true. Because at that time in my life too, I was making money through babysitting, right? And I would have conversations with God. And when things would line up, I'd say, oh, I want to go on this retreat, God. I want to go on this retreat, but I don't want to ask my mom and dad for the money. I want to have enough money to make it happen myself. So if you could line up some babysitting jobs for me, and sometimes, Trish, it would come down right to the wire that I had that payment deadline to go on the retreat, and I would be wondering and wondering, is it going going to happen? Is it going to happen? And sure enough, God would make it happen. And I'd be right there, ha, babysitting, cash in hand. Okay, it's going directly to the church for the retreat. And it would make it happen. And it was all about that mindset and that attitude. And so the conversations that I've had with myself, that I've had with God, that I've had with people that I look up to in heart and mind, it really plays a part. And so when you can do that for yourself, looking at yourself in the mirror. I do so much mirror work with my clients. When you can look at yourself in the mirror and you can see the God inside of you. Maybe it's so much easier to see it in other people, but God is also inside of you. So when you can see that, you know that you have the strength and the resilience to overcome anything. And maybe that resource isn't just all in your mind and in your heart. It's who do you know? What do you know? And certainly collapsing into God's lap and arms sometimes is what it takes to move through the next piece. But knowing that it's there, so when God's inside of you, anything is possible.
Absolutely love the way you express that. So true for us as women and men, whether whether we're in business or whether we're a homemaker or a mom or a single widow alone in her home, seeing the God in us and just knowing that is so awesome. Tell us a little bit about C.A.N.D.Y. That got my attention.
Yes, absolutely. This 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 foundation that I lay out for my clients. First, I want to share that it came from my personal journey. And when I was standing on a lava beach in Hawaii with my family, and I was so blessed. It still blows my mind all these years later, that we had 23 days together, 23 days across 4 islands in Hawaii, which meant we had 22 sunsets. And if you have not experienced a Hawaiian sunset, a true Hawaiian sunset, it is a must do. Make it happen some way, somehow. If nothing else in life, I've experienced many great adventures in life, but having a Hawaiian sunset is truly glorious. So it was one particular sunset that I was there on this beach with my family, and my husband was out in front of me because of his love for photography, and he had the camera up to his face, the lens extending from his nose like yeah, from his face like the nose of Pinocchio, and he's trying to capture that golden hour light just right. And my young teenage daughter was in my arms at my side, and we're having a sweet little conversation between us. And on the other side of me was my stepson. He was grown and out of the house, but he was on this holiday with us with his then girlfriend. And I'm thinking I'm surrounded by people that I love. I'm thinking I'm so blessed. 23 days on 4 islands, and they're so beautiful. And I'm thinking this is an amazing sunset. And I'm thinking I'm getting to do something that not everybody gets to do once in a lifetime. And then I caught myself thinking, Trish, I caught myself thinking of everything that I was observing and that I was not feeling that moment. And then I was thinking, what is happening right now? Why am I not? Where's the emotion? Where's the joy? Where's there was a sense of awe, but it was still more thinking than it was a feeling. And I thought, why am I not feeling happy? Why am I not feeling excitement? And there was, yes, a sense of gratitude, but again, not a real feeling. And I thought, wait a minute, I don't like what's happening right now. Who am I? And because I always believed myself to be someone who lives life to its fullest and takes it all in and feels all the emotions. And here I wasn't. And then my next thoughts were, well, if I'm asking who I am, I feel like I'm a woman covered in dust, where if you imagine picking at your hair like little dust particles, then I felt like I'm just a wife. I'm just a mom. I'm just a stepmom. I'm just a daughter. I'm just a sister. I'm just this shell of an empty woman who has forgotten who she is. And I thought, I'm not happy with that. I'm not good with that. And that moved me to make a decision. And in that decision, I drew the line in the proverbial sand. And I said, we're at the end of a year. There's a new year right around the corner. I am going on a quest. I don't care how selfish it seems to anybody else. I've poured myself into my husband, into my daughter, into my stepson, into everyone else around me. I didn't pour anything into me. And so in losing who I was, I said, no, that's not good. I need to know. So I said, I'm going on a quest to remember who I am. And so when I got back home stateside, it took a lot of effort of moving from the bed to the corner of the couch. And I intentionally would do things that would make me laugh because I couldn't remember when was the last time I laughed. And in that self-reflection and that awareness, I realized I had been in a state of depression for somewhere between 2 and 3 years. But this the beautiful smile that you've complimented so well. Thank you, Trish. I wore it all the time, and it became my mask, even from myself. So, where I took the time to get honest with myself about that, then I could release the depression and start climbing out of that abyss and take the steps forward into okay, who is Lee? What makes her happy? What makes her come alive? And that started my C.A.N.D.Y process. C is for clarity, getting clear on, okay, when I look at the mirror, who do I see? Am I just looking at such and such aged woman with gray hairs coming in and fine lines coming through? No, that's not what's important. Who am I really looking at? What do I admire about her? What do I respect in her? And what does that look like? And then it became a clarity around my dreams and my goals and putting that together. The A is affirmation. And that was really deep diving into the self-talk because I love my mom to pieces, but she's your classic tiger Asian mom. So from childhood, even into adulthood, I still get this in conversations with her. When are you going to be good enough? Why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? Why can't you be like so and so? And so that whole core of, I'm not good enough. And it's like, okay, how do I quiet my mom's voice in my head and really take ownership of my voice that comes from the one true source that says you are lovable, you are capable, you are a vessel of value, and I am pouring into you, and this is what you need to take out into the world. And looking at that affirmation. And then,
So few women, I'm sorry to interrupt you,
oh
but
yeah,
yes, I'm hearing you. So few of us take that time to look at ourselves. That's amazing.
and
Continue
it's
on,
real truth.
please.
In the real truth, yes. And so as I moved from that depression and I got to a place of reclaiming my joy, I realized there's been a childhood dream of mine that I put on pause because I was in this chapter of being a stay-at-home mom. Nothing wrong with that because that was a dream as well, convicted into my heart since the age of 14. And I was doing it all these years later. And so I was in that chapter, and while I was all in that chapter to the point that I lost myself, I forgot about that childhood dream. So when I found my joy, it's like, oh, I love public speaking. I love the feeling that I get, not from a center of attention perspective at all. That's not me whatsoever. It is when I have a story or an idea to share and I see it landing for the audience, and I know I'm planting a seed that when it's allowed to grow, we will create this massive positive change and ripple effects of that for them. That's the feeling that I get that I just love. And so knowing that, okay, oh yes, I have this dream that now that I'm becoming an empty nester, the next chapter is going and chasing that dream. So what are the necessary steps then to transition from stay-at-home mom into entrepreneur and professional speaker? So I couldn't see the whole staircase, right? But that's not what matters. What matters is what are the next best steps? Even if I couldn't see the whole track, I needed to treat it like the GPS. Anytime we use our GPS, we have to start with current location, right? We have to know where we are now and start with that. And then where do we want to go? And it could be, where do we want to go? What is it that we want to accomplish? Or who do we want to become? And seeing that, knowing it's in a distance, and even in a GPS, we can't see all the minute turn by turns getting from point A to point B, but we trust where we're going, right? We trust the guidance of that. And so, very much necessity does that same for us internally. And then the D is discipline, because you can have the can, you can have the clarity, affirmation, and the necessity. You can have the I can, but if you don't do anything with it, nothing changes. So we have to take action, even when we feel the fear, even when we feel like we're not ready, even if we still hear some little voice, maybe it's a big voice saying, you're not good enough. None of that matters. The truth is that you are. And when you take action, you are able to build that confidence and build the competence, and that becomes this ever up spiraling loop, and it's a beautiful thing. And then also gives you more clarity on, oh, this opens up more opportunities, or oh, this is how I need to tweak this to be even better. And whether that's as a mom or an entrepreneur or a leadership role that you are fulfilling. And then the why, it's my favorite part, because it's all about you and honoring who you are. Again, coming back to that mirror work, who do you see in the mirror? You become a changed person in this process. And I honor what I call the three G's. See, I was blessed during the COVID years when we were in lockdown. I was mentored by Les Brown. If you don't know who he is the godfather of motivational speaking, and he has impacted millions of lives, and he's a fantastic storyteller. And he says, you have something special within you. You have greatness within you. And I was personally mentored by him during those couple of years. And I thought, oh, that's so true, but I don't want to copy just what Les says, even though, yes, 100%, I believe it's true. And the more that I thought about it, I'm like, oh, the message that I want to let you know is that you have three G's. You have genius, that's your brilliance. You have gifts, which is the way that you get to express your genius. And then you have greatness. It is that essence of God within you that gets to be expressed and taken out into the world. And by the world, if you're like, oh, Lee, you're sounding pretty scary. I don't want to be out in the world. But you are. That world can be, who are you to you? The world can be just you and your family, or you and your immediate inner circle, or it could be the community, whether it's a ministry that you step into, or your local neighborhood, whatever that happens to be, or an online community, or the world could be the work that I'm doing. Take me out into the whole world. Wherever I can plant my seeds is where I want to go and grow. So don't let the word world scare you. It's what it means to you. And it can be small, it's still significant, or it can be the entire world around you. And so that's the candy, the clarity, affirmation, necessity, discipline, and you. And it's honoring the God-given genius, gifts, and greatness within you and how you shine in the world and what you do.
Oh, that is absolutely amazing. I love it. I love it.
You.
Um, what are some, you talk about seeing ourselves, and I'm thinking about you speaking to women who maybe don't see that joy in their life, that don't see that they're worth anything. Um, how do you minister to them? What do you suggest they do first?
Yes, yes. Well, I'm like this. Every time I hear this, it's like a funny statement, but it is also so true that we hear the cliche 1 in a million. And really, yes, you're 1 in a million, but it's bigger than that. You're like 1 in 300 million, because it was the one sperm out of potentially up to 300 million sperm that hit the egg that then formed you, and you exist. So that in of itself, not to mention God pouring himself into you, right? It's not just a biological essence. If we look at your entire essence, that you are so worthy. It's so amazing. It's so miraculous. All the factors that had to come into play for you to be right here, right now. So can we take a moment of gratitude for that? If life was weighing heavily on you, and I get it, like I said, I was there in depression with a pretty face on, right? And I was in such an abysmal state of depression. I was even in a place where I thought I was going to have an end to my marriage because I couldn't feel anything at all in that. And even in a heavy state like that, that we can find a place of gratitude of God, you made me, and you made me whole and complete, and I am a miracle. And taking a breath with that, that is a start. It was that kind of start that moved me from the bed, just burying myself under the covers. I'm not going to face today. I'm just not. Moving from the bed to the corner of the couch. And friends, that was as far as I got at those beginning days. And where you can take that place of gratitude and then find one thing outside of that to be grateful for again, and building upon that, it compounds it, and you don't see it right away. There is no overnight success with that. But when you do it every day, because for me, yes, it was one day, and then it was 30, and then it was 60, and then it was 90. And it was around the 90th day that I felt that joy. It came from my heart center. And I'll never forget that day where I just felt that warmth, and it came from my heart center, and it slid across my body, and it moved up into my ear, and it whispered, now that I'm here, what do you want to do with me? And I want that experience for you, that you can find that. And then when you see yourself in the mirror, if it's taking all your strength and might to do it anyway. And look at yourself and say, I am a miracle, and I am capable of love and joy, and do that. And I put that together in a framework, Trish, that I love sharing with the world, because this is my true assignment. If nothing else, this is the one thing I must do everywhere I go. And friends, if you are in a safe place, not driving behind the wheel, where you can grab a writing utensil and a paper, I want you to write out one word, and that word is reactor. And when you write that down, think about, what am I reacting to in life? For me, that day on the beach, I was reacting to, yes, my chapter, my dream of being a stay-at-home mom, but I was reacting to the mundane of the everyday, because I stopped being fully present. So I was reacting to the never-ending cycles of getting the kids up out of bed, getting them ready for school, the no doing the laundry, the dishes, the carpooling, the meal planning, the actual cooking, so on and so forth. And while, yes, I was pouring into my kids wisdom and knowledge, and then I was taking from them the ways they were seeing the world, I was still reacting to, mommy, I need that, honey, I need this. What society was putting on me, the expectations I had on myself. And so as a reactor, I felt like I was putting out fire after fire after fire. And I lost myself in both. So I felt like the letter C in the word reactor. If you look at that letter C in the word that you wrote down, it's right smack dab in the middle of everything. And that's what a reactor feels like. So now cross out the letter C because that means you're taking a breath, you're taking a beat, you're taking a moment to see yourself for who you really are. That you are a miracle, you are amazing, you are brilliant. And, when you can honor the God that is within you and you see yourself first, it's not selfish. It is so essential to pour into your cup that way so that in the overflow that you can pour yourself into others. When you do that, now write the letter C in front of the rest of the letters. Everything else becomes aligned. You now see, and seeing yourself first, you see what matters, what is most important, what is priority. And now you get to see that life is happening for you, not to you. And you, instead of being a reactor to life when things happen and living by convenience and circumstance, you can now live by commitment to your truth and in congruency to what matters most to that. Like I committed to getting out of the depression by finding ways to laugh again and in being congruent with that laughter, living my daily life, chasing that laughter, then I was able to reclaim my joy, see my purpose. And now this is what I'm fulfilling out into the world. So I invite you to, even in the heaviest, find one moment of gratitude and ask yourself, am I being a reactor or am I being a creator of the best version, or even let's go with better? What's a better version of myself in this moment? And as you do that repeatedly, you start to find the joy again and see yourself for who you really are.
I love the way you explain that. Thank you so much, Lee. And we
Yeah.
are at the end of this recording, but I'd like to ask you back for a second one, because
Absolutely.
I know how God, what I wanted to talk about, one of the things I wanted to talk about is how God takes our story and he can interrupt what we're doing, which is what he did when you were in that
Yeah.
mundane world, and he
Yeah.
can turn it around for something else. So we're going to
Yeah.
have Lee back because she is such a wealth of wisdom and encouragement. And if something that she mentioned today about looking at ourselves, that C.A.N.D.Y, having clarity, be sure to connect with Lee and start rewriting that story that you've been telling yourself and become that creator. And you'll be so blessed. Lee, how can they meet you? How can they talk with you?
Yes, so my passion is all about rewriting your self-talk. So I actually bought that domain, rewriteyourselftalk.com. And when you do that, I simply ask for your first name and your email. And in return, I want to give you a gift. And it's a 5-minute reset that will take you through the C.A.N.D.Y process so that you can rewrite that narrative and we can shush the inner critic and we can step into that powerful wisdom in honoring the genius gifts and greatness inside of you. And then we can continue the conversation. So that is rewriteyourselftalk.com.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for being with us today on Under Heaven Podcast. And remember to keep speaking life, choosing hope, and that you are loved. And as Lee taught us today, you are so special. Thank you, Lee, and thank you,
Thank you, Trish.
friends. Bye-bye. Thank you for being with us today on Under Heaven. I trust this conversation encouraged your heart and reminded you of God's faithfulness. If today's episode blessed you, please click like, subscribe, and share the hope with others. Until next time, blessings.